Right, balls out, let's go. Being at the MCG with near on 100,000 people on grand final day, and it's a draw, and everyone's quiet. And I've heard Mick speak before about this upon reflection. I don't know if he's admitted this, but he thought we lost.
How far into it did you realise that they were in the middle or getting investigated for that whole tanking thing?
I was never involved, obviously, with any of those interviews or discussions, but I knew it was going on.
Well, D, I know there'll be many footy fans out there looking forward to this episode because I know I am. Mr. Mark Neeld, welcome to the dos&d show.
Thank you very much. What a pleasure to be here.
Mate, we're very excited. Have you done many podcasts in the past? What's your kind of experience with them?
I've done a couple, very selective.
Oh,
Very selective.
Thank you.
So I've done a couple. Yes, I had you two checked out. Where I work at Geelong United Basketball, we have a GM of marketing and social media, basically. So yeah, Connie did a little bit of checking and gave you two the tick. Believe it or not, said yes, no, that is one you can reply to, and let's get you to Melbourne
Connie.
and see how we go. So. Yep. So shout out to Connie. Otherwise, you're not on the blacklist.
well, I don't want to be on the blacklist. Yeah, I was about to say
Yeah.
I'd hate to be on the blacklist of Mark Neeld, but for now we're not. Let's just see how we go in the next hour or
Yeah,
so.
that's exactly right. That's a good start. We'll see where we finish.
Well, mate, thank you for joining us. And maybe that's a good place to start. Tell us a little bit about what you're doing currently, since you've kind of exited out of footy.
Sure. My role at the moment is CEO of Geelong United Basketball, which I thoroughly enjoy. I signed a 2-year contract 6.5 years ago, and so I'm still there. So a little bit of lag. The role that was offered was one to move back to Geelong. So we're originally from Geelong, or 25 minutes out, Ocean Grove. Or we're living in Melbourne at that given moment. I was working at La Trobe Uni, and the offer was to go back and merge two basketball associations. And sometimes, when people say, well, how did you finish up there? And you say, well, hang on, I'm not really sure. I need to go on. So I was lecturing at La Trobe Uni, had a discussion with one of the students, a mature age student who worked for basketball, and said, hey, do you want to go home? We've got this offer on. And of course it was, no, we're comfortable in Melbourne. But anyway, so I finished back in Geelong 6.5 years ago. That's not a bad story, actually, how I finished. I might start right up.
Well, let's do it.
I had this job offer to go back to basketball, which I reckon I played maybe 2 games of basketball when I was in year 10, so absolute subject matter non-expert, but thought I could assist in running the business. They wanted to merge 2 associations. So Sarah and I were in Japan, and we're at one of the little bars or restaurants in Japan. Like, most of them hold 6 to 8 people, and I knew that the fella was going to ring and he needed an answer. So I thought, we've got to either stay in Melbourne or we'll go home. Do you want to go home? Not sure. So I reckon I was 3 sakis in when the guy rang and said, yeah, mate, no worries. So we had to move. When we got back, we moved to Geelong.
Oh, right.
And so merged 2 associations, rebrand, renamed. Basketball participation levels are really exciting, and they're growing all the time. I think we have a really good understanding about where we fit in the community, and I think that's evolved. I think the society we all live in now is so much more informed, which is great. So community basketball is the number one thing that we do, and the thing is let's see if we can keep people active. There's about 10,000 people in Geelong that play basketball on a weekly basis, so it's a good number of people. And we have back in the day, whenever you put a date on that yourselves, it used to be called representative.
Yes.
Sports, now not called that. It's called Pathways. Not sure. Go and interview a psychologist on that one. They'll walk you through the name change. So we've got a whole heap. We've got 55 teams who play in that wear the Geelong United brand. And last season, we got really excited and really serious. We entered a team, or we bought a licence in the Women's National Basketball League for the first time. So we're getting ready for our second season. So basketball's great. Work with some really wonderful people that are keen to see how far they can take basketball, how far they can take their careers. Supported unbelievably. We've got 20 affiliated basketball clubs in Geelong that are completely run by volunteer people. So well played by them. So that's what I do. It's exciting to get out of bed and go and work with a bunch of go-getters, basically.
It's awesome.
And it's probably nice being back in Ocean Grove, and I think a lot of people probably listening will know you more for your AFL coaching, but you won 4 flags in a row for Ocean Grove Footy Club. So you must walk down the main street and everyone, wants to shake hands with you and
keys to the city.
I could simply just go, yeah, that's right. And, but no, and I'm not sure whether my in-laws or my brothers-in-law will listen to this, but they might, but I'll get in strife for this one. So my wife's the eldest of 7, right, and the other 6 live in Ocean Grove. So we lived in Melbourne for 12 or so, 14 years, whatever the case may be. And when we were moving back, we did go to Ocean Grove and go for a walk around, checked out the real estate agents, and we made the outrageous family decision that we potentially needed a bit of space. So we actually didn't move back to Ocean Grove. We're the outliers that live in Geelong. So we go to Ocean Grove on special occasions. But I was in Ocean Grove last Saturday night. Actually, we had a premiership reunion. Thank you for bringing that up. That
Very
was
nice.
Great night.
Plenty of reunions
Yeah,
there.
you got to be.
Yeah, yes, true. I'll pump myself up here. So we had a 25-year reunion last Saturday night, and the club also won a number of premierships before my time, and there was also a 30-year reunion that I was not a part of, but I think there were 6 players who crossed over. So they had a combined reunion last Saturday night, which was terrific. And you're right. So I've just booked them in. Now we've got one for the next 3 years. Fantastic.
In the calendar.
And every 10 years after that, that's really good. We're really keen to dive into your coaching. I mean, there's a lot to cover. And again, we were just reading before, like when you're at Collingwood, just some of the names that just went on to, some are still in the system as senior coaches now. So like we saw, I don't know if you crossed paths with all of them, but we're talking like Brad Scott Waters, Craig McRae seemed to be floating about then.
The great man Paul Hudson.
Yeah, hello.
Bevo as well.
Yeah, Alan Richardson.
Richo. Was Rocket Eade there too?
Not in my time.
Okay.
He came later. I think he came in with Bucks.
Yep.
After Mick had left. Blake Caracella was in there. He's not a senior coach yet, could be. But Cara, if you're listening, stick your hand up for a senior job. But for some reason he doesn't. He just likes being number 2. He's very, very good at his football IQ is high. He was in that space. Guy McKenna.
Yes.
I got the pleasure of working with Bluey. So Mick and the Collingwood Football Club had a bit of a factory in there. Again, outstanding place to work.
Yeah.
Expectations high. People energetic. The way to sum up working at Collingwood was that when you walk through the doors, your aspiration for that day, irrespective of your role, was to aspire to be the best in the world at what you were doing every moment. Basically, that's how I'd sum up living at working at Collingwood.
I was going to ask just one quick question, and we'll come back to Collingwood. But I mean, Collingwood and Melbourne geographically, like across the road, kind of thing. From the year you left Collingwood to go to Melbourne, what were some of the main differences you saw between the two clubs?
There's significant differences. It was based really just around experiences. I think that the group at Collingwood had been through a lot at the top end of the ladder, so they'd experienced coming from the bottom up. So they'd seen a lot, whereas Melbourne was at the other end. They were at the bottom coming up. So it's more experience than it is knowledge, because the longer that you're in the system, you learn more, and sometimes you just don't know what you don't know. So I'd say for me, it was just a collective group of experiences that were really different. That Collingwood were exactly where any club, including Melbourne, that hadn't experienced success wanted to be.
Yep.
So that would be the main difference. And working and being embraced by Collingwood and embracing Collingwood, it's a phenomenal life experience. It is big.
Yeah.
Real big. So
You even, when you said high expectations, we all know, the leaders and the coaches have high expectations and high standards for the players, but I'd be keen to know, what are the high expectations and high standards set by, say, Mick to the assistants? Because I think a lot of people probably don't realise that that's part of it too, is you guys, have goals and, things that, say, the board and people want the assistants to be achieving. So what are the high expectations and high standards, say, Mick is setting for the assistants?
Yeah, similar, the concept of when you come to work today, you aspire to be the best assistant coach of any sport in the world. that's what we're aspiring to be. Now, what that looked like is different for different people. I think Mick reinforced the value of relationships first and foremost, and I'm sure that you've seen that coming through Mick. Any player that Mick coaches, they form a bond, a really strong relationship bond. Get to know the person. So that was certainly something that gets reinforced all the time by Mick, and one that everybody at Collingwood embraces. And Collingwood, extremely well resourced, didn't have back then, I don't think there was a soft cap. So if you had an idea and you could justify that idea, whatever it was, whether that be a coaching concept, a training discipline that you wanted to try and implement, if you could they gave you the time to research, go and speak to people, send emails, find people on the other side of the world, research whatever it was that you're into. And if you could prove to Mick or Jeff Walsh at the time that this was going to make an incremental difference to us, they'd allow you to go and do it.
The old Arizona Collingwood special.
Many fond memories and not so fond of Arizona, but there's a great example, like going to Arizona, doing the high altitude camps, really tough work on the players, tough on the staff, but a different type of tough. We weren't the ones out there doing all the physical training. Mick and David Butterfint, who was the head of sports science, he's right into all the the hiking at altitude and the research and the study and making sure that we were across everything. The staff, we joined in something. We did do the hike to the top of Mount Humphrey, so done that four or so times. Done it in I reckon there'll be a few people there that stayed the distance at Collingwood. We've done it in 30-degree heat, and we've done it in a blizzard where you couldn't see 5 metres in front of yourself. That was amazing. Down the Grand Canyon where there's signs everywhere saying don't go up and back in a day, get a donkey, whatever. So we walk down and then they make the players run up. So the staff are thinking, oh, wow, I've got to sort of hook on the back of these elite level AFL athletes. Well, certainly not carrying
Mick gets to hold his hiking poles.
Yeah, Mick, that's another, yes, Mick with the hiking poles. No one could go past Mick. And then if he cracked the sads, he'd stick his arms out wide and so no one could pass him. So that was the players got to take a bit of Mickey out of Mick, pardon the pun. They also took us spent in South Africa. We did high performance camp, we'll borrow that term, in a place called Potchefstroom, which is a world-renowned high achieving athlete centre that were hockey players. So, yeah, amazing experience. So, yeah, Collingwood could and did provide that stuff for everyone that worked and played there.
Makes total sense. Before we kind of go away from Mick, one of the things that has always fascinated anybody in football is how fiercely he defends his players against, say, journalists, for example. It's he protects them and then at any cost. What's it like after a poor loss and the journalist in some cases may be right and he's sticking up for his players? As soon as the doors close and you go behind closed doors internally, doesn't get leaked out. What's Mick like to the playing group and the other assistants?
Vision-based would be the answer. I think in terms of the way that senior coaches, and if you focus on Mick for a moment, speak about players and about people that they're working with. Used to talk about, the iceberg theory, that the people, the public, the punters, the journos, you get to see 2 hours a week. Mm. What you don't see is everything that is in the preparation, which is essentially the iceberg under the water. The sacrifice, the training, the trial by doing, the trial by error, the blood, the sweat, the tears. And in all of that, when you're with people for a period of time, the relationships and the trust and the respect grows. And then if someone comes at that and you're only seeing the tip of the iceberg, I presume, I've heard Mick get a little bit defensive on occasion. He's also very much on what you saw today is the current reality now. It may well be a one-off event. We're talking about having a vision where we're going to grow this, in this case, this football club over a period of months or years or seasons to get to the ultimate goal of getting ourselves in a position to have a crack at winning a premiership. So we're not going to get stuck into someone for what might be a one-off event. If it becomes a pattern of behaviour, then that's a little bit different. So I think that's the perspective that someone like Mick goes into any day with. It's not just about that day. He's got this idea of, I know what it's going to look like here. You just want to, hang someone's a bad term to use, but you just want to get really stuck into someone about the performance of today, which is a learning experience. Sure. So I think behind closed doors, it's very matter of fact. It's vision based. It's okay. It might well be, let's say we got beaten by 10 goals, but it's actually proven that the last time we played this team, we got beaten by 13 goals, and we noticed that, so today you played a different role. That's the type of stuff,
sure,
which is not great for a journalist, because none of what I just said is going to make a ripping article.
But no, it's diplomatic.
Obviously, we'll get to your senior coaching, but I am fascinated with the assistant stuff, because with a lot at the moment in the news about the soft cap and assistants, the workloads that they're under. I think a lot of people don't really understand or realise. You mentioned the iceberg theories, how much work they're actually doing. What is required? What are the contact hours like compared to what people see the players' contact hours? Like, there's a few training sessions, and then what is your opinion on the current setup with the soft cap and assistants?
Yeah, sure. It's different at all football clubs. So the structure of assistants is different. So therefore, the role descriptions will be different. A lot of that is obviously directed by the head coach at that given moment. Also, the experience of the football manager or director of football, so there's a little bit of difference there. In terms of what the roles are, well, reflecting on Collingwood days, it was very much, we had specific tasks. Like Mick was big on, you are responsible, along with the players themselves, for this group of players. And Mick had them, not earth-shattering stuff. They were just divided into their lines, basically. So when I started at Collingwood, I had the back line group, and then I moved into the midfield group. So maybe had 15 players, and it was get to know your players, build a relationship with them. So you have to do that, obviously. And then it was understanding and contributing to the evolution of a game style with the coaches and with the players. And then as a group, if you've got the back line or the mids, what does the game look like when it's on? Can you sit there and see the shape? This is, now we're right into technical coach speak, which will bore the living daylights out of people. Yeah.
Wow,
so
we are technical.
What does it look like? Can you,
David King sitting in the chair.
Can you look at a game and say, well, that looks pretty much the way we want it to look, right? So you've got to get that from your line's point of view. And then within that, how do you help each individual player develop the skills and the fitness level in consultation with the sports science guys to get a spot in the senior team and keep it? So that's really what you're doing. And I think there's also, with an assistant coach, it is for a part of the week, you are the assistant of the head coach. No question. So in this case, there's no female coaches in the AFL yet. So he's been given the privilege to be the head coach of the Collingwood Football Club's team for this given moment. I need to assist him with everything that he requires so he can coach his team to the best of his ability. So you got that. There's also an element, and there's hours throughout the week where you're an assistant coach of the Collingwood Football Club, as an example, which is slightly different. So you need to make sure that you're also doing the best thing possible for the club. So you just walk that line, and that is dependent upon who the head coach is, the experience of the head coach, and what their wants are.
Now, D over here is a local footy coach.
I am.
So you're probably enjoying this chat with Mark. A few little tips coming your way.
Tips in the ruck, Mark's given us. But I'll tell you one thing, I want some tips in the truck. All thanks to Fleet Plan Hire Solutions. And just before we get all immature here, that's not an innuendo. It's the best in the business, Fleet Plan Hire Solutions.
So earth moving and excavation, that means, tip trucks.
Yes.
Excavators.
Yes.
Even water carts.
Can I ask a quick question, though? That all sounds great, but I don't know how to operate them, Dos.
Well, Fleet, they are reliable and they're trustworthy, and they are probably the biggest in the state, that's for sure. But they don't just give you the machinery. Yeah, there you go, Joe. Look, good luck with it. Good luck with the project. They take care of everything operating wise.
What about the legal jargon that I don't understand?
Compliance, they've ticked it off. They do it for you. You don't have to stress if something goes wrong. They take care of it all.
So let them take care of it all for you. Visit fph.com.au right now to get more information today. And now we'll get back into the episode with Mark Neeld. Yeah. What about, just quickly, the 2010 grand final? Like, what are your recollections of that? I mean, love to even know about the famous tale about the rooms being flooded.
Yep.
And Mick's I think he called it the halftime speech at the function. I'd love to just know, what you can, and just that feeling of obviously achieving the ultimate in your role.
Yeah, amazing experience. So even doesn't matter what role you had. Like I was an assistant coach, so no one really remembers that, but I do, and I remember the learnings from it. Being at the MCG with near on 100,000 people on grand final day, and it's a draw, and run out onto the ground to speak to the players, and everyone's quiet. It was a bizarre experience. It's like, again, being involved with the big clubs. I had the privilege of working at the Essendon Football Club as well as the Collingwood Football Club. So I've done a number of Anzac Day games.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Like you're 100,000 people. You could hear a pin drop. So that in itself is amazing. The grand finals, any sport, any level, anywhere around the world are amazing because people work their backsides off to get themselves in a position to get there one day. And when it eventuates, there's an outpouring of emotion, relief, excitement, all those things. So when the siren went and it was a draw in the first week, in the coach's box, there was, like everywhere else, there was silence. And I've heard Mick speak before about this upon reflection. I don't know if he's admitted this, but he thought we lost.
Really?
Yeah. I can get, he might even deny that, but I'm going to go against the old man and say I have a 100% clarity reflection that he thought we'd lost. Didn't last very long. And then it was, hell, there's a few of us in there. What do we do? In the space of what felt like 5 minutes was probably 20 seconds. Let's get down to the players, as this was a collective decision led by Mick. Get down to the players, grab your groups, congratulate them on putting themselves in a position to win a premiership next week.
Wow.
Straight down. And I know Maxie was carrying on to the reporters about there's got to be a result and all the... Maxie was having Maxie time. So once he got himself back in, it was, hey, congratulations. We've qualified for the opportunity to win a premiership in 7 days' time. That was the first message those players heard. And that set the scene. So the famous halftime speech, that was it. That was the philosophy. We're having dinner together. What a great opportunity. We'll go and do this. We'll respect the fact the fans have come out today, and there's 100,000 of them that have supported us. We didn't quite get there, but we're in this. You've qualified. That was the message, which was, when you think back,
it's amazing.
In that moment, it was all glass half full, vision based, look forward, all the stuff you hear about. Hey, the windscreen's a lot bigger than the rear vision mirror, so that's where we're going. That to me, of all the things that I learnt under Mick and experienced, that was unbelievable leadership in a moment where you could have forgiven him for thinking that just slipped through my hands.
Well, going back to the point of the split second of him thinking they lost, I'd love to hear about what it was like in the coach's box, because St Kilda that last quarter, was their last quarter? And Goddard
last half,
second half, and they came through. You know, they had all momentum, and it's obviously famously spoken about that Stephen Milne bounce. But it just seemed, it's often said, if there was a couple more minutes, St Kilda would probably win that game. That's what people say. But what was it like in the box?
It would have been. It was the same as every other, and this was again boring, not awesome for a newspaper article. We were a group of people that had worked together for quite some time. I was watching the midfield, giving Mick the half a dozen things that he required about what was happening in the midfield. Bucks had the forwards doing exactly the same. All the coaches were just, Scotty Waters had the backs. That's what would have been going on. Like, it was Mick ran a very well-oiled machine, and if you stepped outside of your lane, you were reminded very quickly how important it is that you become an expert in your lane, because if you're not striving to do that, if you jump into someone else's lane, no one's over here. That would have been, that's the old coach thing. It's about systems and processes, and everyone goes, oh, great.
Oh, I love it. It's
A few swear words mixed in there too, I'm sure.
Oh no, Mick. I'm sure you've everyone in that group of people I just mentioned were all quite calm individuals. No audio. We've all calmed down in our older age.
Well, let's jump forward to the Demons. I'd love to know, what's that feeling like the moment you're told, congratulations, you're now a senior coach?
Hard to describe, but just one of excitement. Really? Wow.
And how do you prepare, like first day, walking into a football club to introduce yourself to the playing group officially? I'm sure you spoke to most of them one-on-one, but what's it like when you go in and you've got the reins and you're in control and it's day one of a struggling club too?
Yeah, similar. It's around getting to know the people that you're going to be working with and trying to get an understanding for why they do what they do. At the same time, trying to balance that with the expectations of a board and the thoughts of a board on a current player list and the thoughts of a CEO about where Melbourne need to go, what's the time frame, some of the decisions that need to be made. That's sort of a balancing thing. But first and foremost, it's essentially, hey, how you going? I'm Mark. This is what I do. Let's have a coffee, have a chat about why it is that you do what you do, and we'll see how we go.
Is it true that you had link? I'm pretty sure you had links to potentially getting the Adelaide Crows job and the Bulldogs job too. Did you talk with either of those before?
Yeah, there was a group of us in that assistant coach. I think there were 3 or 4 positions available. And it wasn't quite like this, but it was all of us. Like, you'd almost meet at the airport and go, "Which one have you got today?" Like, so there was Macca and Sando. So Brenton Sanderson, Brendan McCarthy, myself. I reckon Scotty Burns was probably in that mix as well. There would have been a whole heap.
I think he's still in that mix.
Yeah, so Scotty's another one like Cara. Stick your hand up, Scotty. He's got an amazing footy brain and just a ripping human being, one of the all-time great human beings, Scotty Burns. So I think that that's what it was like. They just roll out the assistant coaches of the clubs that were going okay or had been around for a while. And I'm sure we all pretty much spoke similar. And with our own little uniqueness. But yeah, so everyone got interviewed for all those jobs. And I've probably missed 3 or 4 people that I just can't think of at the top of my head. Like, it's 15 years ago.
Yeah. Gosh, it feels like yesterday to me.
Yeah.
That's weird. Because obviously you get the D's job and there's real wounds there. Like, I think that season before was that 180-odd point loss to Geelong down at the Cattery, and you're not just taking on a team, you're taking on a team that's, been battered and bruised pretty badly.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point that you bring up. My comment before about the windscreen in the rear vision mirror. Yeah, it's very rare that someone would make a mistake in hindsight, because today we've got all the information. Yeah, that's a really good point you make for having gone since then to a couple of other clubs, just actually taking more time to unpack the way that people feel about things that had happened, and it wasn't as simple as this is where we're going. Maybe there was a bit more unpacking of some previous things that had happened that needed to be done. But again, hypothetically, you never know. But placed into the future, if you can help someone else deal with that, it's insightful from you. Well done.
Thanks,
well done, Dos.
Thanks. Normally it's him getting there. Good questions.
No, that was a ripper. I don't know if you ever had this feeling, especially being a senior coach, but is there ever a moment where in your private driving home or whatever, where you realise, we're further behind than what I initially expected, especially coming from like Collingwood, for example? Is there a moment that vividly stands out to you where you go, something's not right here, or we are further behind, or?
No, my recollection, particularly of the board and the executive staff, they were spot on. They had a really good self-awareness of where the entire club was, and they had some good plans to get out of it. So they prepped me, if that's the word, to it was going to be an extremely different experience to Collingwood. Now, whether or not I listened to that intently enough or that's soaked in, who knows? Maybe not enough. But no, I think the Melbourne Footy Club, the people there at the time, they were quite realistic.
Did they have expectations year one of amounts of wins, or did they was there an internal goal or anything like that?
No, there wasn't. It was more around a transition of the list. Like there were some deep cuts. Again, I'm not going to remember the exact numbers, but I'm talking across a 2-year period. There would have been more than 50% of the list that was moved on or cut or not offered contracts, and that was part of we need to develop a different list, was the imprimatur of the board. And look, hindsight says, yeah, they're right. They got themselves to a stage where they had a number of early round draft picks and picked up some terrific human beings and some people that could play some serious footy and ended up winning a premiership. So they were onto it. I probably think they were deep cuts early, which means that path is probably going to be a little bit longer.
Mm-hmm. How far into it did you realise that they were in the middle or getting investigated for that whole tanking thing? Like, I'm assuming you didn't know before you took the job.
No.
Because I know you wouldn't jump into that.
No, there were a couple of things going on probably halfway through the first year. Like the AFL's communication from head office was exemplary in just letting me know what was happening. Like I was never involved, obviously, with any of those interviews or discussions, but I knew it was going on. And I think that tested relationships within the club and tested relationships with people that had previously been there. And that was an interesting time. It was funny, not humorous, I suppose, but it was a strange experience knowing that there were people that were having regular conversations about that, but I wasn't. Like it wasn't like, what's the concept of leading through this when something's not quite right here.
When you're amongst it all, and it happens to this day with footy clubs, but footy fans are impatient.
Yeah,
and
that's a great point.
And I mean, like Carlton at the moment is a perfect example where they're just going through a really shit time and it's hard. And I feel for Michael Voss has to come and face the media week in and week out and probably give the same spiel. And then if you go and look on social media, all the fans are just saying, it's the same shit every week. We're hearing the same message. But what's it like when you have to keep repeatedly turning up after a loss to answer the same questions diplomatically and we're on the right path or we're going in the right direction? What versus probably just blatantly, honestly saying, well, they're not there yet or we're struggling.
Yeah, there's a couple of ways. So one is that, again, it's like the iceberg theory for me, and I don't want to. I'll try and make this come out in a respectful fashion without demeaning any role that people have in the football industry. So Vossi, we'll use Vossi as an example. So Vossi, I presume he gave a presser last night, and whatever he said. Now, being a head coach of an AFL club is an all-consuming role. There's things that you will be doing essentially every minute of the day. And you're not a half-in AFL coach. You're all in. So Vossi gives his presser, and then he'll be off doing his role. So he's over here doing his role. Now, he is not tuning into every radio station to hear what the experts are saying about what he said and then hear what the callers are saying. He's not then jumping on X or Twitter and having a look what everybody's saying. He's actually doing his job. So that lingers in the public domain, the commentary, the social media, the newspapers, everything. For ages, Vossi was forgotten about all of that because it's something, what presser goes for 10 minutes maybe? 10 minutes of a really busy week. So your question around, how do people cope with that and how do you do with that? Well, they're doing other things. They're just doing their job. Then, do you know what I mean? Like, it's not like Michael Voss is not going through every newspaper to see which particular journalist is potting him this week.
But does the outside noise seep through eventually? Through even close connections?
Not to the level that the external people think it does.
Okay.
Because all clubs would have a media manager or a few. I suppose if you're at Collingwood, you've probably got 3. But they sort of give you a quick summary about what's being said, and then you go, okay, well, no worries. Yep. And in that, by the way, some of the ex-players and some of the experts, they've got some good things. So you'd be foolish not to listen to some of the content. Sometimes you got to sift through a bit of the sensationalist stuff because you understand their role is obviously they're going to go much better if they can get someone to listen to them. But there's some really good things out there if you've got the time just to sift through some of the stuff. But it's not. It doesn't sift through at the volume that the external people think it does because you're just so busy in doing whatever it is. And people that run organisations of those sizes, whether it be sport or non-sport, they're vision-based people. And they know that you're not going to get it perfect and there's going to be errors and it's literally going to be learning and things take time. Mm-hmm. But one of the great things that we all love about football and any sport is the emotional reactions of people, and they come along and they scream and they yell and they absolutely want that person after he's kicked that goal, surely he's going to marry my daughter, and then in the second quarter might miss a tackle and right, done, out of the wheel, done with. They just go.
The wheel. I haven't heard that one.
Look, it's one of the great things about sport.
The external noise, from what I'm hearing, is it's not seeping through from a coaching and probably a football operations point of view, but players are on social media more than ever. And as much as you'd want to think they can control it and manage how they use it, I'm sure for many it's tempting to go online and look at what people are saying about them as players or about their team or about their coach. And that's out of your control sometimes. So with a young group at the Ds, with the week by week losses, how are you managing that expectation to the players if they're on socials?
Yeah, so all athletes will deal with it in their own way, and you would have heard many people talk about the way that they deal with social media, and there's often a lot of education that goes on within the clubs about, okay, well, you're right, you can't control what people say. So some people, and because we're all different, there's a range of ways that people deal with it. Some people cut it off and just say, well, I'm not on it. Other people are selective. Other people get right into it and answer back.
Bailey Smith.
Yeah. So, again, one of the realities is that the people making those comments, again, generally, this won't be right for everybody. It's not a one-size-fits-all, but they potentially are emotive because they love their club and they want their club to win, and that's all they see. And you are the difference between us winning and losing. So they whack out their comment, and again, there might be some really good things you can use in that if that's what you're up for. Again, the players will know that they will only know such a small percentage of the information, the hard work, the plans, because that's it as well. So I think you need to be cautious of following massive direction of people that don't have all the information. And some people will deal with it that way. So you're right, you can't control it, and you should never try to control any things like that. Education is an enormous tool, and one of the beauties of the current education that we're in is it's a very individual-based system, where the three of us, for example, I'm sure we all learn differently. And what could be said to each one of us will be interpreted in 3 different ways. So that's really important to acknowledge and just work with the individual.
You mentioned the beauty of emotion in the game. Sammy, can you get that clip up of the win against Essendon? We want to just have a quick watch of this. Winning your first senior game against the odds, especially against Essendon on this night. We just want to play the clip and then get your memories of it.
You have fought like no other. This man here, full of emotion. Wonder what's going through his mind right now. He says, thank goodness.
Look at the Bombers.
His first win as a senior coach. Mark Neeld is going to love this siren. He throws the headset down. The siren hasn't quite gone yet, but he's celebrating. Unbelievable scenes. Neeld, players, fans, going absolutely chaotic here. Melbourne.
What are your recollections of that night?
They're not great. I reckon I'll put on a bit of weight watching that too. That was the first thing I had to look at. I need to get back in the gym. It was emotional. It was one because we weren't expected to win that night. I think Hurdy, he'll be wrapped that you brought that up. I think Hurdy had a pretty talented group that was going on. I think Colin Garland and Jeremy Howe were the first two. Like they were sort of young leaders coming through, so they bore a lot of the emotional toll. One of the things I did after that, if that keeps going, I darted up to the coaches box with the other assistant coaches, like everyone, just to acknowledge the work that they had done. And then we thought, well, we're away. Boys, we played a pretty good brand here. I think, quick memory to Essendon certainly had the bulk of the footy inside 50, particularly in that last quarter. So the boys were able to pack up the stoppages and take speed out of the game. I remember that concept, which that's still alive today, that type of play.
Yeah.
And they were able to, it was a good feeling.
You mentioned young leaders as well. You obviously went through a period of transition from older leaders at Melbourne with Brad Green being the captain and the younger leaders with Jack Grimes and Jack Trengrove taking the reins. That was a big decision. And for lots, you probably copped a lot of backlash around that decision or around how that decision went about being, these guys are so young. How was that?
The process?
Yes, or more. Well, maybe the process. Because Brad Green being an established player, a Melbourne legend, and having to hand that over to the next generation, and then after maybe the backlash that you did receive because of that.
Yeah, I think in terms of when you're the head coach, so you lead the footy department, so you know that no matter how many people have been involved with making decisions, you're the one that's the external facing. So that's just part of it. The process was, again, it was almost the windscreen stuff. It was okay, into the future, let's map out what the on-field leadership looks like. And again, tried and true processes around, let's identify the behaviours that we want from the leaders. Let's identify the expectations, the characteristics. Let's go through and rate them all. Let's speak to the players individually. Let's ask what they want. So it was a lengthy process done over pre-season. So it was the concept, and again, this is not just a sporting situation, but very much a business situation as well. Remove the personalities, remove the names, etc. Focus on the behaviours and the actions and the characteristics and the personality traits. That's how it was done. And those two young guys exhibited more than anybody else in the group those behaviours. It was a risk, or again, often athletes take risks. That's part of their personality. It's one of the reasons that people finish up being at the top of their chosen profession. You do take calculated risks on occasion. It was just their age. But again, the feeling was, well, this is a long-term play. Melbourne will potentially get themselves into the finals in 6-7 years. That's what it looked like. And the vision was that, when these guys are in their prime of their leadership and their playing, that they would be right to go. So it was a values-based decision based on all those things that I just said. So it sat comfortably with people that were there. And, as I said before, hindsight, is that the reason that we didn't win too many games initially? Unlikely, probably.
Did the older players buy in? I mean, I know you get that from a majority system. We're all kind of on this trajectory. But then if you're a senior player at the club that's been there a number of years, do you think they bought into that concept?
Well, you'd have to ask them, would be my answer.
Yeah.
But right back at the start, you spoke about where Melbourne was at that given time. There was a self-awareness of the club that there needed to be significant change if it was to be a place that had success into the future, but it was then going to stay successful. There was very much an awareness, if we keep doing the same thing with the same people, you know what's going to happen?
Yeah.
Same result. So that there you go. That's pretty much how I'm going to answer that one.
Sure.
Yeah. Well, maybe we transition into, I guess, post Ds. You then make your way to. You went overseas, didn't you? Did you do a course overseas?
I did.
This is or a retreat. Or was a retreat?
I did go to a retreat. Holy moly! So, this is. I thought you're bringing back some memories I thought I'd erased from.
Sorry.
Jeez, hang on. I just need to go into the deep, dark stretches of my mind. Bloody hell. Yeah, so the D said, like, we're done. I was like, oh, well, that's brilliant. That didn't last as long as what I wanted. Fair enough, no problem. And so I've gone home. I think our eldest daughter, she'd moved out of home. I think she was the only one we've got 3 children. And Lucy's our eldest daughter, she was at uni, so she was around. So she popped in, which was nice, had lunch, whatever. So it was good. And my wife and another daughter, Molly, they were overseas in Koh Samui doing some retreat that people do in Koh Samui. And our youngest daughter, Alice, she was on a sporting trip. She was over in England. I'm like, well, why would I sit here on my own? I've actually got nothing to do tomorrow. So I thought, right, this is not what I'm going to go and catch up with Sarah and Molly, and I'll whip over to Koh Samui. So I got myself on a plane, had a couple of beers at the airport. Right? So I thought that was warranted. So a couple of beers, jumped in the plane, and then it was in June, so freezing cold. So then you jump into Thailand, stinking hot. They were at a health retreat, and I tell you what, when you get sacked and it's in the public domain, it's odd to then the next day you're doing a health retreat,
Meditating.
and it was full on. Well, I got one. I can remember, and now I don't remember the order, but in no particular. So it's basically, I'm going to call it a starvation thing, and my wife would be going, "That is so disrespectful. It's not starvation. That you are misrepresenting the whole." So we're doing some type of cleanse your body arrangement. So and I was not ready for that. Like I'd had half a dozen beers, I reckon, before I got
you
put
want
on
a
the
zinger
plane.
box
Yeah,
on that stage.
I was saying, right, let's crack open some beers here, and let's get a zinger box, whatever. Anyway, so basically I'm on doing some starvation thing, and I was like, this is just really what I'm after. So we did that, and there were a couple of other things. Now I don't know whether your uncle has given you the heads up. Now I'm not sure. This could be in the most part of, and all I'm going to say is, don't you dare laugh until you've tried the health benefits.
Okay.
One of the things so this is, and some Melbourne people will say, well, you deserve it, you bastard. But so sacked in public, 24 hours later, I'm having a coffee enema.
I knew you were going to say that
That
for some
is
reason.
just
I knew
like,
it.
I was thinking, I'm lying there and I'm looking and I'm going, wow, my world has really changed in 24 hours. But I came back after a couple of weeks feeling $1 million. Felt great. It did all that sort of what it meant. I did have a bit of a discussion on the second day. I remember this. We're in the yoga or we're doing something, and I'm not massively flexible like most other ex-AFL players, so I was trying my best. And I was getting a little bit agitated, and I can still remember the fella coming over. I can't remember his name, and I'm not going to do the voice impersonation because that people won't like that. But anyway, so I got there, and he sort of standing over me. And he's saying, you got to put your arm here and your leg there. And I'm going, listen, buddy, I've had 3 shoulder dislocations here and my knee's not quite straight. But I'm doing my best I can. And I sort of was doing it. And he lost me when he said, now you've got to imagine there's a light coming over your body. And I said, I'm done, mate. There is no light. I said, I'm just done. It's not for me right now. Where my head's at, I'm happy that you've got me in some type of 4-figure leg lock arrangement, but we're out. I'm out. And Sarah's looking at me going, shut up.
Yeah,
Anyway,
embarrassing me.
Yeah. So he asked me to remove myself from the
The
yoga
old senior
room.
coach came out in that moment.
No, not quite. He didn't cop a spray, but it was like, mate, I'm terrific. This is great. You've sort of stretching my legs or whatever you're doing, but there's no light.
Well, this isn't the segue I thought I'd get to this, but I know Jim Steins did coffee enemas as well.
Oh wow!
And I thought maybe you heard it from Jim, but
No, it was It was a special family arrangement we got.
Would you want to maybe mention Sats? Give Sats a bit of a.
Yeah, well, actually, before we totally go away from the Ds, we've got a couple of notes written down from Sats. I just want one quick question. Just want to ask Mark, I know we're sort of taking a step back, but I mean, we've had a lot of people sit in that chair that have told us about the day they went into their meeting and told they were no longer required as a player. But we haven't heard it from a coach, basically having to sit a young person down and say, look, there's no contract for you next season. What's that like?
Terrible. Absolutely terrible.
Yeah.
I've gone back to coaching in community level in Geelong. Love it. Absolutely love it. The hardest thing still to this day, and I had to do it last night over phone because I'm in Melbourne on a 3-day conference, was to tell somebody that this week they haven't been selected. This is community footy where like the young tradie I spoke to last night is spewing because it's cost him $100. Like no pay in the reserves, 100 in the seniors. So he's spewing. But that's the hardest thing. Like you're sitting there and I'll qualify it by saying I am in no way saying it is 100 times harder to hear than it is to deliver. So you need to wrap your arms around that young person as much as you can. And that is to deliver that message. You know that you are the bearer of news, that you are at least in this moment, you are removing this person's dream, their livelihood, their career, their job. That is not taken lightly by anybody, any of my mates that still do it. Everybody understands what they are doing. And the thing, though, is the light needs to be shone on the person who is receiving that. And you said you've spoken to a lot of people that hear it. That's a terrible, terrible situation. You've got to show them care, got to show them love, give them what they can. Because also you understand they know what the meeting's about, and as soon as they hear those words, they're not hearing anything after that.
Mm.
And you just need to create an environment where it is respectful and as caring as possible. That's not good for anybody, but shine a light on the person that is actually losing their career.
Yeah.
Do you go into that meeting, okay, it's in the calendar, you're not expecting it, or do you have an inkling?
Oh, no, you know.
You know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Can't imagine.
Again, it is... people will deal with it in their own way. Sometimes it's okay to say it is what it is. Just got to work your way out of it.
Balls out.
Well, that's it.
Craigie.
we're going to make a complete change. So you did mention my uncle, who has sat in that hot seat many years ago.
Yeah, he did.
Unfortunately for Sats, he doesn't like hearing this, that the audience wasn't quite as large as it is now when he sat in the chair.
Well, I'm sure people can go back and listen
They
to
can
previous...
go back and listen to him.
Right, so Sats,
you would know the number, surely.
60-something, I would say. It's a long time, many years ago. But and he likes to think he put us on the map, Sats.
No doubt. So, Sats, you'll be listening to this. I know you will, and you'll deny that you will, but it's okay. The punters can go back and listen to your
That's it.
previous episode.
Paul
That's
Sadley.
it. The Paul Sadley. That's a great episode. Now,
Q, has he told you about that one? We used to call him Q. That's not for public consumption. I'll give you that. You unpack that at the next family dinner.
Q.
Just running through that. That's all I'm giving you.
wanna-
I know that's bad for the audience, but
Can you give me some more off air?
off air, yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah,
Don't let me-
that's a
boys,
real
don't let
off
me-
air.
don't let
Turn
me
the
forget.
microphones off arrangement.
He gave us some great stuff off air too that we weren't allowed to broadcast as well. But again, we'll tell you about that off air. But I texted him and said, "Look, we've got you coming in," and he was very excited.
Well, we typically try and find whoever's coming on, who's a mutual connection we can get a bit of dirt on, don't
exactly. A little bit of dirt. He didn't have much dirt, but he gave us a few dot
It's a
points.
bad memory then, isn't it?
Maybe he was looking after you. Or maybe he's scared of you. I don't know. He won't like that.
But it could be. Well, he's not. He's pretty small.
Yeah,
we? I knew you were going to go there.
Like, not that you would ever use your size to intimidate
No.
people because that's bad, but he's exceptionally small.
yeah, he is. He is. But anyway, we won't keep potting him for too much longer. But he did say it. He
Would
gave
you
me.
know? So, would you know if he actually punched you in the arm? You wouldn't even know, would you?
Sats.
It'd be like a little mozzie just flicking off.
Well, he told some great stories on that podcast where he referenced about stuff that came over the fence in his playing days, and they were always built around his size. But he gave me a line with no context, and it just said, "Ask him about balls out, Neil Craig." Now, he didn't say frame the question this way. He didn't say what it was about.
No.
He just said balls out, Neil Craig. What does that mean, as you would interpret it?
Well, what is happening in my head? I need to quickly find the words to describe what is in my mind right now, hearing what you just said. So the great Neil Craig met Craigie when he was coaching Adelaide, and I might have even met Craigie when he was the strength and conditioning person at Adelaide when I went to a conference at the AIS. And highly intelligent man, Craigie, across a range of different things. So, head coach, strength and conditioning person. He's got a doctorate in something else and a doctorate in this, and he's just so intelligent. Worked on, he did the Tour de France and the big Europe bike league. He was part of that, and then he was doing a million things.
You're fluffing him up a lot, so there must be a big butt coming.
Oh, no, Craigie, you'll be listening, and I'm going to nail you here in a minute. So he did all that sort of stuff. He also, I don't reckon you two would be into your statistics probably. Someone who's been a head of sports science at an AFL club and the head coach of an AFL club.
That's when you said that, I didn't know he was head of sports
yeah,
science.
back in when Blighty was
I just know him as
carrying
a
on
head
like
coach.
a clown. Yeah.
So it was when Blighty was there.
I reckon he was sports science when Blighty was there, and then he went to the AIS, and then he got involved with Phil Walsh, I think, the legendary track cycle mentor. Anyway, so Craigie had some wonderful ideas. What'd you ask me? The balls out. One of his greatest sayings was, "Boys, balls out!" Right? He'd be screaming, and we'd be going, "God, Craigie, shut up!" And so what it meant was that he loved the young players, and he was all about work ethic and quality of work. Right? So your work ethic had to be strong, and you had to work really well with, right? So he used to say, "Listen, boys, if you can go hard for 10 minutes today, that's good." And his term for working hard was balls out, right? So balls out, 10 minutes, that's all we used to hear. And then tomorrow, balls out, 11 minutes. So he used to run around the corridor, and all you'd hear, balls out, and screaming, carrying on. And then, right, this one is for everyone's imagination. Craigie in the 1970s and 1980s still have a very close relationship in that Craigie's kept all his clothes from the 70s and 80s and he hasn't given them back, right? So that is also on the athletic pitch or field or whatever. So Craigie used to get around in your 1980s athletic shorts. They don't leave much to the imagination. You know, the ones with the split up the side and
everyone they're those running shorts. Yeah, they got that long split. You can almost see up to the hip.
Correct. So I think actually now they've been outlawed, or I don't think there's a great market for them. Anyway, Craigie wore those. And he also had this habit of when he sat down, particularly in match committee, it's a very large table. Craigie's way of getting comfortable was to sit in the chair that tilted back and put his legs up on the table and cross them and just sat there. And he'd be thinking, well, I'm not sure why everyone's so stunned. I'm just comfortable. I'm ready to go. And then he'd say, right, balls out, let's go. So it had two meanings for everyone. And I think some of us are probably scarred from that experience, but a very, very funny man as well as highly intellectual.
Just quickly on Craigie, you said to us off air, the horse, it's a treadmill
horse on the treadie.
Oh, horse on the treadie.
One of Craigie's. Now, I think the statute of limitations, I don't even know, maybe I watch too much TV. I think that's in America. I don't know if that's in Australia when they talk about it. Anyway, so I think there's enough time passed. One of Craigie's things that he did when he was fossicking around doing weird stuff. So he did his cycling coaching and all those types of things. And he said, I know so much about sports science, I reckon I'm going to train horses. So he was doing whatever he's doing. And do you know there's treadmills for horses?
I did know that.
Imagine how big it'd be. Anyway, so Craigie puts this training regime into practice, and it's been going okay, and the horse... and again, how do you know if the horse is enjoying it? I don't know. You're not going to tell you, are they? Anyway, so he's been doing it a couple of times. Then he goes... He tells it extremely well. And it came to the crescendo day where today they were going to do something that no other horse has ever done before, and they've trained it up, and it's going to be great, and it's going to be fartlek running on the treadmill, and of course the horse would understand what fartlek running is and all this sort of stuff. Anyway, the horse had a heart attack and died on the treadmill, which is not funny because we must...
No, it's not funny.
It's not funny at all because we must make sure that we treat all animals and people with the respect that they deserve.
For those listening, everyone's faces looks a little bit different. But
I'm more laughing at Craigie and just
Could you
the poor
imagine?
timing, you know.
And he tells her, like, oh, it's great. It's got up to the 5th interval and it's doing this and doing that. And then the bloody thing fell over.
That's a classic.
So that man has now gone on and doing various things. He went to Carlton and then was at the Bombers, then went to Carlton. And then Craigie finished. So he does a lot of consultancy stuff still because he's a genius. I know he did some work up at the Gold Coast Suns. I don't know what he's doing now. England rugby.
Oh, wow.
Like rugby union, yeah.
Yeah. So Eddie Jones and Craigie have a really strong relationship. So when Eddie was coaching England, Craigie was the director of sports science and flew over for 6 and 7 months of the year.
It's been everywhere.
Yeah, he has.
Yeah.
He has, including the horse industry where he's no longer.
No longer, yeah.
Do we want to quickly touch on the Bombers as well?
Yeah, go for it.
So you actually found you're at the Bombers for quite a period of time as well.
Yeah, I was.
Under the great man James Hird. What was the role there? Was it nicer to not be necessarily the head coach, more overseeing the coaching?
I reckon everything that we will do, including everyone in this room, in your work experience, there'll be elements of your role that you love, and then elements of your role you go, sort of, give or take that. And I think that's true with everything. So when I got to the Bombers, it was unfortunately in Hirdy's last year. Hirdy's brilliant, and I'm sure you can tell that now with this stuff in the media. Hirdy's football brain is crazily good, right? Really, really good. So I was there just for that last little period of time before Hirdy resigned, which was, quite a difficult period of time for the club. Like we talk about the people that came in that year and the year after, like we were the sort of the crew that was coming after those things that had happened, but it was still there. So I really enjoyed Hirdy's company. I was head of development for a short period of time when I got there, and then when coaches move and footy clubs evolve quickly, there's roles that you'll have tomorrow that aren't even invented today. So I finished up it was one of those job titles where you can invent your own job title. So we all tried to get fancy. I can't remember what it was called. It was essentially a director of coaching role, which I really enjoyed. So got to work with Hirdy for a little while, and then got to work with John Worsfold, who incredible human being, absolutely incredible human being, leadership, just beyond anything that I had experienced before with Woosha. So yeah, enjoyed my time there. And then there was a fellow who was Rob Kerr, was the head of football running the department. And look, I would have been one that was a huge supporter of Kerry's and Woosha's and thought the football club was certainly heading in a wonderful direction, having made the finals. And then there was a change of plan, so we all left. But it was again a great experience, big club. Really big club, lots of people, lots of emotionally invested people. I sometimes hear commentary that the big clubs are similar. Collingwood, Essendon, no, very different. Similar in size, but ideals and differences completely different. But yet enjoyed the experience of both. Yeah.
We talked about. You put it so well earlier in the podcast about getting to a club that's, I don't know how you put it, but broken might be the wrong word, but hurting, a club that was hurting at the Ds. But then when you're at the Bombers, you probably saw the soul of it get ripped out from underneath it. So what's it like being there when that happened?
Again, it's challenging for everybody that's involved. Like I was there when the 34 players got suspended for 12 months. Like they were there one day and then they're not there the next. And that was a bizarre experience. One, when you look back and you think, wow, the little things like the communication to the players and all the rules and regulations around that, and everybody knew how important it was to be reaching out and speaking to them, yet you're under all these restraints. So,
what were some of them, Mark? I didn't even know that was...
Yeah, so they could, off the top of my head, there's a little thing like they could train together as a group, but I think the group size had a restriction on it. The club could provide some type of scaffold as to what the sessions could be, but no one from the club could actually be training them. So there were challenges in that space. That's just a practicality one. But the biggest one was how can we do what we can to help these people from a mental health well-being? And there were, enormous number of people that were trying to do that, from the Players Association to the league itself, to the club, to the doctors. So there was a lot of stuff going. That was the first and foremost thought of everybody, those players involved, and again, how do people interpret things? Well, you don't know. And there were 34 players plus families, partners, children, parents, that all had their own take on what was going on.
Mm. Are you ready for your Rexall confession?
Well, I just got one quick one.
Okay.
One
Sorry,
quick one.
Rexall.
We'll get into Rexall because that'll lighten up. I just had one more serious one. Again, Sats said we should ask you about this, and it's not obviously a good one at all. But the impact when Colin Sylvia came through to you, what was that day like for you?
Well, when you've known somebody and you've worked with somebody and they pass away, most people have been through that. It's a day that you think first and foremost for the person's family and how are they coping with this. Like, they've lost a loved one, whether that be a partner, a son, a brother, an uncle, whatever the case may be. So I'm a big believer in they're the people that need your first thoughts, and any support that that is required needs to go to them first. And then there's friends of that person, and when you work with someone, you'll always have some type of relationship ongoing. But people, it's when a young person passes away that you reflect in a whole an array of ways. It brings back, your own personal mortality for one. But I think they need to take a backward step as you send all your well wishes to family and friends and loved ones.
Well said.
Well, yeah, really well said. Yeah.
Time?
Well, I think it is now time for our good friends at Rexall. Mark's been thinking about this one. So firstly, before we get into the confession, we just want to say to Rexall are Australia's largest electrical wholesale store with over, I think it's up to 127 stores now, Australia-wide.
Spot on. 100 years they've been going Rexall. They're the best in the business. So, Dos, again, you don't even have to be a tradie to download their app. But if you are a tradie or a Sparky, make sure you download their app. We'll talk about it in a minute. But Rexall itself, Dos, for those that maybe even just doing a home renovation, what kind of things do they provide?
Well, things like cable, hardware, all your traditional
Lighting.
power points and sockets. You've got all your lighting, all your staples for everything electrical. Rexall are the ones you want to go to.
They are, and you'll find one almost on any corner, as Dos said, 127 stores Australia-wide, and we encourage you all to download the new rewired Rexall app, which, again, if you don't talk the lingo like Dos and I, we don't talk Sparky lingo, but the chat box on there will sort you out, won't it, Dos?
It will.
What are you giggling at?
Oh, you just mumbled a little bit
didn't
there.
you?
So, Neeldy, I'm really keen. I don't know if you've got one or maybe you have a couple, but have you had a think about what you're going to bring to the Rexall confession booth today?
I have. So got a couple of things. First of all, good work by Rexall, and I'm sure I might catch up with Rexall. I just let them quickly know that there's 12,000 people playing basketball on a regular basis in Geelong. We could open up that market for them. We've also got a women's national basketball league. We'd be happy to have a go. I'm sure All right. So there's my plug for them. So
yeah, beautiful.
if someone who's listening from Rexall, if you could please contact me, or I might get your email address off these two, that would be awesome. The second one, good form by the two of you to give a heads up. So I think it was a week last Friday. I reckon I got the email, the standard, g'day mate, looking forward to meeting with you, yep, all that sort of stuff. And I think you started with, I hope you're having a good day, or I hope you're well, which is essentially,
I hope you're well.
Which is the first bit was, I think you just lied because you don't actually care if I'm having a good day. But anyway.
Yeah, I always wonder that. When we all do that on an email. No,
do
we
you
just
really,
get straight to it?
I hope you're well. I genuinely hope you're
That's
well.
good. That's why the world is made up of a different array of people, and people like you are welcome. Right? Well, no, that's true. So I get that. And anyway, so I walked out of them, and in my office space, it's about 20 of us, I think, and I have the other people in the office call it the fishbowl. Like, my office is essentially in the middle, but it's glass, so like I can see them, but they can also see me. So it's a bit of a fishbowl arrangement. Anyway, so I wandered out of the fishbowl and I said, cop this email. And it was the one about the confession. And so hats off in that you've given me 7 days to work through it, which at the time I thought, that's great. because coming up with that off the top of my head could have been incriminating. But what's actually happened, I reckon you've cost me about 3 nights' sleep because I'm not sure what I should be saying. So I was working, right, if I say that, well, hang on, that could be a real issue with my current employer. So
Yeah, we've opened up some old wounds.
and I was like, if I go there, well, yeah, that's funny, but I'm not sure. Yeah, so I'm still in my head right now. I reckon there's 4 just floating around. I'm not quite, and there's also that. I reckon there's a couple where I might try and do the Ross Lyon, which he's doing at the moment, deflect everything. So I've got a role in it, but I might be able to deflect and throw someone else under the bus.
Oh,
yeah,
even better.
So
actually, that's another thing to point out too. Is you might know something that someone else has done.
You don't have to use names.
No.
Yeah.
No, except when Craigie killed the horse.
Yeah.
Right, we
Well, that was a good confession. Yeah.
So, right, I've got a couple, and I might just go low level.
Okay.
And people can join the dots without me giving them enough information to get arrested.
No, fair play.
Not good for podcast world, but there's 6 of us in here. I'm suggesting of the 6, there's a few people that have been to Amsterdam for a holiday.
One's about to go and he can't wait.
Right, there it is. Right, so bang. Now, certain things happen in Amsterdam, and the best thing is they happen in Amsterdam, not in Australia. Put your phone down. Now, so where I report to, so this is a long bow, but I'm working with this, right? So went to Amsterdam with Sarah, had a great time. It'd be fair to say, don't remember everything, but I think that's part of it. And there was I had a snack, and it might have had a muffin, and might have had
baked goods over there.
chocolate muffin. Just had weird sort of things going on, and then we're off to the Heineken factory, and I may or may not have tried to climb into a vat, and it was all just really. It was about to go pear shaped. Then I can remember giving some feedback to some people on the canal. They said something, I took offence to it. So anyway, so it was going to be pear shaped. Anyway, so
feedback.
He's a gift. Feedback's a gift. You
It is.
choose whether or not you unwrap it, right? So it's a good theory. So
I like that.
we have at work, there's this on board. It's called On Board. It's a communication tool that executives use to communicate with their board. So it keeps everything. It's supposed to be secure, and all the people that want to steal your life can't get into it and all that sort of stuff, right? And you got to have a photo. So I was feeling rather humorous this stuff. And of course, you can imagine, like, the business, it's quite a sizable business, all these people, and millions and millions of dollars that someone's given me the key to that I've got to manage properly. And so I was feeling quite humorous this day. And you got to have a photo. So I have stuck, and every time we have a board meeting, which is monthly, and they put it up on the screen, I sit there and giggle to myself, and I can't share the story with the board because boards, they're lovely people. They're volunteering their time, and they're in charge of strategic direction and governance and all that. So it's a bunch of nerds, right? So anyway, the photo that sticks up for me is just a headshot from a park in Amsterdam. So I've got the photo and sort of cut it out, but you can't see what else is going on around me. You can't see what's on the table. You can't see it. So I think I'm the funny.
They can see your red eyes.
Yeah. So I'm saying that is balls out arrangement to do that. So that's one. I'm happy to confess to
I
that.
love that. That's fair.
So and
Are you able to provide this photo with us so we can put on the video of this?
No,
or
I
not?
don't think so.
No.
You can put the cropped version, but we'd love to see.
Yeah,
it.
I know you can't have the full one.
No.
No, that's not a thing. No, I'll give you a little cropped headshot. So
perfect.
I'm happy with that. Like, I think that is hilariously funny.
Yeah.
Well, and so there's that one. I was going to give you the horse one of Craigie, which we've covered that off. Oh, and then I throw a bloke under the bus that I used to. He's done this twice, got me twice, and unbeknownst. So this is way back in the day. You choose the date. I was working at Geelong College. So for the Geelong College, independent school, great school, very privileged, I think you can use that, privileged school. So for those of you that haven't been to Geelong College, which is probably all of you, all you need to do is think about Harry Potter. That's what it looks like.
Okay.
Right?
Hogwarts.
A little Hogwarts arrangement. And I'm fairly certain there's some type of asset test to let you in the door, right? It's just not open for anyone. So I was part of the PE department, and back then they used to have these weird things called phones, and they had to be plugged into the wall, and they used to hang onto it, had a little cord and all that sort of stuff. And we shared a phone.
I remember those.
So two things. this guy is actually quite funny. So I was coaching Ocean Grove probably, and
Into his second flag.
second, which was before the third and the fourth ones. But anyway, so I picked up the Geelong Addy, which is read by everybody, and I saw that there was these people, local identities, that had given their take on all these current issues. And there was a take on an election that was coming up, and thought this person was, this party was going to win the election because of this. So it covered that off. And then there was something about, the AFL prediction because it was in the pre-season, and then the cricket was on, and I'm flipping, and I said, sure, I can't remember answering any. So I had a look, and I don't know, there were a couple of, so Geelong identities, and I'm reading it going, I don't remember answering any of these. Like, what the? So I finished up, I went home to Sarah and said, I think I've got an issue. Like, I'm in the paper here, there, and whatever, and I can't remember that interview. Potentially it was done in Amsterdam. So I thought, well, holy shit. So I went back to work and I said, guys, I need to share this. Can anyone remember? And you wouldn't believe it. This guy in the corner goes, he goes, I picked the phone up and they said, is Mark there? And his name's Mark. And he said, yeah. So he just answered the questions. And I said, so Mark Torper, you'll be listening to this. I said, Torps, with all due respect, you are the most boring person who's done nothing in their lives. Why the hell would the Geelong Advertiser ring you and ask for your opinion? And he said, so here I am. And I think, and Sarah's a little bit concerned because whatever the political comment I gave was actually not what I would think about the world. So I've gone and supported Party A when I'm sort of over in the Party B section.
That's so funny.
So Torps, and he did it the second, he stitched me again. How did he do? The same office, actually. So forget Torps, Under the Bus, bad by you. The next one, I was sitting in the same office, Jeff Walsh.
Oh, yes.
Called. So I picked up the phone. It's mate. And the other end of the phone. And we've all had this, surely. He goes, it's Jeff Walsh, Collingwood Football Club. And I'm like, yeah, right. So I've given it the yeah, right for about 5-10 minutes. And I thought, and the end of it, he got really stern. And he said, I'm not sure what's going on here. But if you don't basically pull your head in, I'm such and such, and you kind of come up and meet with Mick because we've got a job for you. And I basically brushed him off. And when you later meet Walshy, not too many people brush Walsh. He gives some seriously good feedback. It's extremely clear most of the time.
Yeah, to the point.
It's very to the point, and he's one of right eyes here, bang, right in your.
Oh my God.
So I got some serious, and so I nearly got sacked at Collingwood before I'd actually started because I didn't think, I thought it was a mate who was, anyway. So there's a few, that'll
That's
do.
fantastic.
Well played,
That is so good.
That was good.
Mate, you've given us more than enough, and he's deserved his little present for that, hasn't he?
He has. So Rexall are giving you a little gift box full of a few little goodies. You'll get that afterwards. But
Great.
Sammy,
Well, thank you to Rexall, future partners of Geelong basketball, I would have thought.
We'll tee that up.
We
tee that
will.
up with
We
you.
will. So
good
the
work,
first one we're going to
Rexall.
bring in. It's
Well, maybe explain the goodie bag first.
The goodie bag first.
Yeah.
Is the dos&d goodie bag?
These are all part of the goodie bag.
Oh, we'll bring in the Milkman first. So, Milkman Australia, Mark, they are leading the way in all things men's grooming, natural grooming, mind you. So,
Natural.
you've got your little toiletry bag there. If you want to unzip that, and you'll find yourself.
This would have helped you in Amsterdam. That toiletry
couple of natural deodorants, which are really nice. The Espresso Martini body wash.
Boozy body wash.
Boozy body
it's
wash.
not we're not.
It's not drinkable.
Not drinkable. Okay.
But it does wash well.
Good.
They smell beautiful, mate.
I'm not massive in the cocktail arrangement, but the
That's okay.
espresso martinis I'm all over.
Yeah.
I like
Like,
the espressos. And then you've got the natural deodorant there. I think they've got some beard oil as well. What else do they have on the site?
Beard
Nick?
oil.
Well, yeah, if you're looking for anything in the male grooming space, so again, we're talking like everything Mark's got, but then
Good
the
on them.
cologne.
Thank you.
No, you're welcome. The cologne, I love the hair products for me. I like the Milkman styling powder for my hair. I use that every morning. And everything you need, guys, 20% off at milkmanaustralia.com if you use the code dos&d.
Love that.
Now, what's the next present for Mark, Sammy, that you're bringing
This
out?
is fantastic.
Now this one I'm excited for, Mark, because when you're telling the balls out story, this is what could have fixed it all for you and saved you many of those mental scars you now have. Because
It's a blindfold.
not quite, but this is Russell Athletic and also Mitch Dowd. Now, Mitch,
wow.
yeah. So if you have a look in there, mate, we've got something that
hang on, I've
apparently
headbutted
Neil
the-
Craig definitely needed in the day. There's some
I
new jocks
did
in there
too.
for you, mate. Some bamboo jocks, some pajamas
Oh,
in there.
wow.
Some Russell Athletic. I think they might have put a pair of track pants in there for
What do
you
you got
too,
in there?
mate.
Pull one out.
I got.
Let's
Here
have
we
a
go.
little
So
look-see.
Neil Craig,
Little sneak
you're
peek.
right.
Oh.
Needed these.
Yeah,
the
Oh,
Neil
hang
Craig
on.
special.
These are. That's what Craigie looks like too. That one there. All right, that is no. So I've got those. Thank you very much. What have we got here?
I think there might be some pajama bottoms.
Pajamas, bottoms for
How
me.
good's that?
Great. Oh,
Do
these
you wear your jogs? Do you
I
like
do.
it?
I
Yeah.
love the Mitch Dowds. They're very comfy.
I've got
nice and
those exact
bamboo.
PJ pants.
Yeah, you
I actually
Have
do.
you
Dos
really?
loves them.
Well, this is great.
And Dos is actually repping the Russell Athletic.
And Russell Athletic. Well, Mitch Dowd. Well, thank you very much to everyone from Russell Athletic.
Well, they're fantastic.
That's amazing.
But
And my
here's
Mitch
this, Mark.
Dowd
So
stuff.
I tell you what, if you want to send Neil Craig a code, he could get 40% off his Mitch Dowds if he uses the code dos&d40 at Mitch Dowd or Russell Athletic. Dos has got the nice little puffer
Well,
vest
they've
on at the
they've
moment.
actually the best thing, and I don't think many people actually understand or realise this, but on Russell Athletic, the website at the moment, actually a lot of their stuff is already 50% off.
Yes.
So if you use the code, get an extra 40% off. You do the maths. It's a pretty
That
good.
cost. I bought one of these too. That cost us about $46. Normally you're paying about $160, so get involved in that. What's the next one? Yeah, bring them out.
Mark, you
Don't
look
do
like
that.
you hit the gym. You've got some pretty
Yeah.
solid biceps over there. So
well,
I reckon you like your
I
like
do.
your
I
supplements.
like going to the gym. And so just on the Russell Athletic range.
Yes.
So just for the Neil Craigs of the world, have they got a retro range, or is that in the making?
They're very retro. I mean, they've been around since 1904, I believe, Russell Athletic, and they
So
invented the old.
just after Craigie was born.
Sammy, I reckon we'll do the throw. We'll
Oh, you wanna do the
yeah,
throw?
We'll do the
What about if I knock them off? Look, I'm a chance
you'll
to.
be all right.
Oh, he's gonna. All right, Sammy. All right, Sammy's gonna throw these in one by one.
Supplements.
This is under some serious
This is heat.
restraints here.
Yeah,
Like,
this
You've
is-
got this,
I
Neeldy.
can imagine if I hit this thing and
Mate, your
lose
hand
my
eye
teeth.
will be
Don't
pretty
stress,
good. So supplements.
Oh, down here.
that-
All right. Oh.
Supplements are leading the way in all things high performance gummies. So think, pre-workout creatine, L-carnitine, BCAAs, all things for I guess everything you need to perform in the gym
workout.
and recovery wise. They've put it all in a gummy form. So now you don't have to, bring in your little supplement, your protein powder, and mix it all in your shaker, and it's everywhere in your car. You can just grab a little bag. Chew the gummy before the workout
taste like
or
lollies.
after, and they actually are like lollies. So we're going to chuck a few in to Mark. So Mark, chuck in the creatine. This looks all right too. Beautiful.
Oh,
so
it's one
that's
from
for,
one.
Are you on the creatine at all?
No, I'm not actually, but I will. But I am now.
Yeah, perfect.
And one thing we actually want to mention before you go any further, you'll see on the packet it should say Huster qualified.
It does.
So that means all your boys on the weekend, mate, can take that. You won't get in any trouble. And this is designed for professional athletes, so there's no issues with any testing.
True. Well, another one of your very valuable partners or valued partners that expect a call from basketball.
I'd love to get a nice little commission of that too,
So
Mark.
the women, I can guarantee you, the Geelong United basketball. Oh, here I can give you a world first. No, actually I can't. I'll get in trouble. We're about to rebrand that team. It gets a new name. I was going to go early and give you the world exclusive, but actually you're not
Would
allowed
be
to.
big
that's
Even
fair
though I couldn't explain my
But they
way
might
out of
have
that.
sup on their jumpers, is what you're saying.
They could. They absolutely.
Yep.
Yes, I'm happy to take money from anyone, but this is the type of stuff that the women could be using in the gym.
That's
Great.
definitely.
Look
Definitely.
at that. Get around it.
Well,
Righto,
that's
good.
that's for the pre-workout.
else you
That's
got,
the
Dos?
creatine in terms of gaining that extra strength. Next, we've got the L-carnitine, Sammy. That's
It's my favourite.
Sammy,
that's
you've
a
made me
lovely
sweat.
little flavour.
Nearly got my hamstring.
Nice, Sammy.
That was
Yeah, go on, Sammy.
unbelievable. Seats.
Well, maybe we won't chuck the rest if you go throw them like that, Sammy.
Why don't you bring him in? Come
yeah,
on, bring
bring
him
him
in.
in, bring
Come
him
on, bring
in.
him
I
in.
thought you said that of a high performance.
Yeah.
Sammy's under all sorts
Bring him in,
over there.
Sammy. But you got all the flavours there. And we will say as Sammy brings that in, guys, you can pick sup up at Coles, Woolies or Chemist Warehouse. But
Beautiful,
if
Sammy,
you head to their
thank you.
website and you want a nice little 30% discount, where do we go, Dos?
Well, you just go to supplements.com.
And the
use
code?
the code dos&d, 30% off all your supplements. And it's not just these as well. They do magnesium gummies as well.
And
which-
especially for some of the ladies too, there's stuff that's more designed for your hair and your
Exactly
skin
right.
too. So some really good stuff there, mate. So that's it. And then finally, just bring in the dos&d goodie bag, mate, just to wrap
Holy
it all up.
moly.
Yeah, it's Christmas come early for you, Mark.
It has.
The best part is, of course, is our tote bag. We take a lot of pride in that when you go shopping. But inside there, mate, you don't have to take everything out. But the Rexel box will be in there full of their goodies. Fleet Plan Hire Solutions, who are our naming rights sponsor, have linked you up with some golf accessories if you play golf.
Great. Good.
Golf gloves, some balls, some tees.
That's elite behaviour.
I love that word.
Well, we couldn't do the show without our wonderful friends and partners. So it's just our way of thanking you for coming in. Yeah, some new balls there, mate. Don't lose them all in one hit, but you enjoy them. But just our way of saying thank you to you for coming in today, and yeah, we really appreciate it.
Oh, well, thank you. That's absolutely outstanding. And thank you to all your valued partners. That's incredible stuff.
Soon to be valued partners of the Geelong United as well.
Absolutely. Hey, you got to have open mind, good attitude.
Looking forward to having front row seats.
Yeah. Can we sort something like that
I'll tell you what.
If
we can, in actual fact, if you two, actually, if all of you, you might be away in Amsterdam, if you might never come back, but we'd be horribly offended if you don't accept the invitation to come down and sit courtside over summer. Season starts mid-October. Wonderful experience. We sell outs all the time. So we'll be mortally offended. And I'm not the type of person that you want to do that to.
No.
So, right. So
we'll be there. I don't want to make you angry, Mark. So we'll be there.
No, I have calmed down. So I'll Connie, who approved you two in the first place. So she'll be in touch. And
why don't we bring Sats along as well?
Yeah, bring him.
Sats, and he'll need a booster.
And of course. But we should say, before we let you go, maybe give a little plug to all the listeners and viewers that they can come and check it out.
Absolutely. So Geelong United Basketball, soon to be rebranded Women's National Basketball League. The season will be tipping off, not kicking off. We have our first home game October 18th. We are talking about world-class athletes. The WNBL has just been, as a league, has new owners. It's just been purchased. They are aiming to make it the most elite women's basketball competition in the world. We're quite happy to go up against the American one. They're world-class athletes, unbelievable experience. Bring your family, bring your kids. They will love it. GeelongUnitedBasketball.com.au is where you will find out all the information, or on this podcast, because I'm sure we're also about to become a valued partner. There you go.
Well, we'll chuck all that in the show notes too, so everyone listening or watching can go straight to the show notes and hit that website link.
But we just want to thank you again, mate. We really appreciate you coming and spending some time with us, and it's actually great just to hear some stories and have a laugh, and of course cover the serious stuff too. But we really appreciate it. Thank you so much, and best of luck with everything you're doing.
No worries. Thank you very much. Thank you for having me. It's been a privilege. It's been great fun, and I must admit the way that you two ask your questions certainly made me feel comfortable. I felt really comfortable sharing those stories and throwing other people under the bus. I didn't have any, so you've managed to extract that out. It was like sort of sitting around at night, having a couple of beers, having a chat. So well
Thanks,
done. You're
Mark.
very
Appreciate
good at your craft.
I think
Good
the
stuff.
couch helps too. It's
And that water that you
the water had that,
that came straight from the bar.
the Stevie Baker retro bar over there.
Thanks, Mark.